I really feel like the biggest reason why people go to live shows is to be with other people, is to experience the art with other people, to have that collective experience.
Seeing live local music at a neighborhood venue like the Fox Cabaret can make for a unique night out in Vancouver, but increasing costs and changing appetites for live music are making it harder for audiences, artists, and the venues. In an effort to make it a bit easier, Vancouver musician Ian Cromwell runs Locals Lounge, a community project helping audiences find live music and artists find community. Cromwell, who often busks on the seawall, says it doesn't help that information on live music is sparse.
There's a broader shift that needs to happen. I think live music in Vancouver is hard to find. We don't have good concert listings. The Georgia Strait tries, but it's not a complete accounting, and they are trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff that's in the same publication. We don't have trade publications. We don't have like local radio that's really like covering the local music scene. And so what you end up with is people don't know where to find the music. It's not in any one particular place, so you can't even go to a neighborhood and assume I will find the music there. And the venues that used to have it are closed now.
The Fox Cabaret teetered on the edge of bankruptcy during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to General Manager Darlene Rigo, who says the club struggled because of dine-out restrictions. Rigo says insurance premiums also went up during the pandemic, as some brokers found nightclubs to be too high risk, on top of all the other rising costs, making club owners adapt. According to BC's Alliance of Beverage Licensees, some major nightclub owners in Vancouver were down 40% in revenue in December, which is supposed to be the busiest time of the year. And this past January, typically considered the worst time for bars, it says nearly every nightclub in the city was suffering losses.
I hope it is something that's kind of temporary and that we can weather and then all of us come out of. But there's been these trends that have changed so dramatically in a short amount of time in this city in particular. Like the cost of living has just risen astronomically.
Rigo says her club's monthly 4 bands, $4 night helps artists and the audience by putting different kinds of talent on stage who might not be able to pay the room fee to organize their own show, and they're also to keep the show affordable by running it on a weeknight.
We resist wanting to put up our room fees, things like that. Like the idea was that we want this place to be as accessible as possible. Anyone can come and pay our room fee, which basically just covers our basic costs, right? Pays for the sound tech. And then over time, we realized because we have so many more costs, we have to bump it up a little. And it might make it a little less accessible, which is why the 4x4 is important to us to make this place, this little stage, welcoming to smaller acts or artists who have never performed publicly before.
There are other independent music venues in Vancouver that are not nightclubs. Main Street past the Fox, Redgate Arts Society has been hosting shows for over a decade.
They are doing some of the most important grassroots music work in the city. They are putting on artists who are incredibly talented and have sizable fan bases locally. But a lot of the young people are not interested in going out and getting wasted. Those days are done. And until there is a model that can replace that, it's going to be harder and harder for large venues to keep operating in a way that serves the local community. They're going to need to rely more on touring artists who are already successful coming in from other places, which means that the pressure is on local musicians. If you want to make it, you got to get the hell out.
I've always said this about Vancouver. I think because of the difficulties of the city in general, the expense, how hard it is culturally, it's not on par with other major metropolitan places. The level of artists is extremely high because if you're not in it, then you'll just stop doing it.
Stay tuned for the next part of our local music special, all about what makes it hard to be a musician in this city. In Vancouver, Kier Junos, City News.